All right, we are live. I am live. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to the third session of this year's live updates for PrestaShop project. And my name is Christian Podemski. I'm tech evangelist for the open source for the PrestaShop open source project. And today, unfortunately, I am alone, so we'll have a bit shorter session after the last month where we had a chance to show you amazing demos around headless, around new product page, and so on. This is a bit challenging demo, but I will try my best to show you some interesting things that happened in PrestaShop project in February, some changes to the developer documentation, and so on. So let's move to the today's agenda. First of all, as always, I will introduce you to the event rules. Then we'll speak a bit about the project news. Then I have a couple of demos for you, and we will do a short pull request overview where I would show you what happened in February on GitHub project. And then, last but not least, I will host Q&A sessions. So if you have any questions regarding the things that I'm going to show you today during the live update, or you have any questions about the PrestaShop project in general, feel free to ask them using the chat. But keep in mind that there's a little delay between what I'm talking basically and what you see. So I will try my best to answer to you at the end of the session. Alrighty, let's move to the event rules. As always, please use the chat to ask questions. As I just told you, this event is about the PrestaShop open source project, so we basically don't discuss things around the company there. This event is public and being recorded, so it means that you can watch the demo of it later on YouTube. This will be automatically uploaded to YouTube after the session. And last but not least, let's just be nice to each other and abide by the code of conduct of the project. And now let's get into the news. I have a couple of news for you today. First things first, a little news about PrestaShop 8.02, because we are a little behind the schedule when it comes to the patch releases for the PrestaShop 8.0. The second batch for PrestaShop 8 is still in the works. There are still some tiny details to be solved so we can release the new version. But good news is that this release fixes over 20 bug fixes, on over 20 bugs that were spotted by the community and by our QA team from the project. There are some important fixes that were related to upgrading of the modules, to the core upgrade and web services. So there was plenty of important things fixed in the 8.02. So it's worth waiting for the release, and this release should be available in upcoming days. I expect that I think we can release this maintenance version this week or at the beginning of the next one. So stay in. Be ready for the upgrades to 8.02 if you are on version 8 already. And now let's speak about the next version, the next minor version of PrestaShop, about PrestaShop 8.1, because in February we've released a new version 8.1 beta first. It's available to test. You have a link to the release notes available on your screen. I will share you the presentation afterwards, so you can basically click through all the links from the presentation. There's still work in progress because beta, it means that the beta version means basically that this is not ready for production release yet. And there's still a lot of things to do when it comes to the auto upgrade compatibility, but all the project members are focused on delivering what is required for 8.1 to be released as soon as possible. There's no ETA, there's no estimated time of arrival yet, but we will keep you posted, and I'm looking forward to having a good news about the release of this version. And as always, if you'd like to help the project, if you'd like to help yourself, go download the beta. The link is available on the GitHub project page, on the build block in the release notes. So if you are developing any solutions for PrestaShop, it's a great time to have your solutions tested against PrestaShop 8.1. I don't expect many changes in the final release between the beta 1 and the final release, so it's a good time to start testing your solutions. If you have any feedback, go to the github.com/PrestaShop /PrestaShop, go to the issue section, and you can add any new bug reports there, new feature requests, or we can discuss using GitHub discussions of the PrestaShop project. And yeah, if you are a developer, if you are creating any solutions for PrestaShop, it's important for you to know what changed in the 8.1. This is why we've created a dedicated page for 8.1, similar to what we've done with the 8.0. So this page basically summarizes all the changes that are notable for developers, for theme authors, and basically for all people that are working on some solutions for PrestaShop. There are some tiny breaking changes. There is one bigger change, which is about changing the Vue version from Vue 2 to the Vue 3, but it shouldn't impact your solution simply because Vue is mostly used in back office pages that are not easily extensible. But if you happen to modify those pages like stocks, like translations, be aware that something may be broken if you upgrade to 8.1, but still go see the DevDocs PrestaShop project.org to the to the modules/core sections, and you can see notable changes in this version. Everything is there, and if we forgot about something, then you can just reach out on the docs repository, go to the issues, and create a new issue that something is missing. And going to the next, quite a big news, Google Analytics 4 compatibility is now available for PrestaShop due to the new version of PrestaShop Google Analytics module. From here, I would like to thank you, Frank, Daniel, and a few other contributors who took the part in creating this release. This release is now available on GitHub. If you go to the PrestaShop Google Analytics repository on GitHub, you can download version 4.2.0 from GitHub. It should be available in your back offices tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And it works in a way where you can simply select an option to switch from Universal Analytics to version 4 of Google Analytics. It doesn't work for both systems. There's no way to send the events for both systems using the one module only. But for this problem, Daniel Hlaftox from our community created a fork of the original PrestaShop Google Analytics module, which basically duplicates the data that you already have in your PrestaShop Google Analytics module. It creates a separate tables, it duplicates the data there, and it sends the data to Universal Analytics. So to sum up, if you want to use Google Analytics 4, but you want to do the transition smoothly, because the transition from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4 is not that easy, and it should be done with the interim solution where you have the data collected by Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4. If you want to achieve that, you can install the old modules shared by Daniel, and then update to 4.2 version of official PrestaShop Google Analytics module, switch to Google Analytics 4, provide with the changed tracking ID, and you are good to go. All the details are in both README of repositories in Google Analytics module, official Google Analytics module, and in the module from Daniel. So once again, thank you very much for all contributors to this version. I know this Google Analytics 4 compatibility was highly anticipated by the community. So there it is. Thank you to Frank, thank you to Daniel, thank you to Jonathan, thank you to all the contributors who made that happen. Right, let's go to the demos. I don't have any much news for you today, but I do have some interesting demos for you. And normally I would show you some slides and so on and so forth, but today, as I'm alone and this is a bit special session, I will just switch to screen sharing and I will just show you little things that happened in February, some bigger things, some little things, just so you know what is going on in the project and what's new and exciting is waiting for you in PrestaShop. So we will start with the new, with the not new but improved documentation for the developers. And I'll show you a few things that were created by Thomas, our tech content manager, who is working for PrestaShop, and his mission is to improve developer experience by improving developer documentation. So there are a lot of changes in the documentation. So I will show you my screen right now. Okay, I try to zoom the screen, so I hope you will see my screen properly with good font sizes and so on. I will switch to the docs group, and here's our developer documentation for PrestaShop project, for PrestaShop software. And I would like to show you a few things that changed in the documentation. First of all, I will start with some things that were undocumented, and Thomas added them because, as you may know, PrestaShop is a very big software, and there's a lot of stuff that is still being basically undocumented. So first things first, there's a very interesting feature for modules that basically allows you to configure modules via CLI. If you install a module using command line interface, you can basically configure the module during the installation by providing the values of the configuration to the special files that are part of your module. And it was completely undocumented, whereas it's very interesting feature for those developers who use, for an example, continuous delivery or continuous integration mechanism in their projects. So if you want to see more details about configuring modules with CLI, there's a documentation for that. And this is only one example of how we could improve the documentation by documenting interesting features for developers that are already there and were undocumented before. The same goes to the object model class. As you probably know, if you are working with PrestaShop for some time, if you are a developer, object model is quite a significant part of the PrestaShop software. And truth is that it was completely undocumented for a while. Well, basically for entire life of PrestaShop software, I haven't seen object model documentation, and there it is. It's a full documentation of object model, basically the fundamentals around object model, how it works, what you can do with it, how to define your own modules, how to override them, how to extend them, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't seen the developer documentation of PrestaShop in a while, it's a good chance to take another look in some next days, because there are a lot of changes, a lot of important, significant changes to the documentation, and those are only two examples of the changes. Another example of something that is in the core but was completely undocumented is CSV response component that is used in grids of customers, of categories, and so on and so forth. And basically, this component allows you to export data from grid to CSV. Of course, you can use it standalone. So Thomas documented this component. So if you want to use something related to exporting to CSV in your module, there's a tool for that in PrestaShop Core, and you can use it. And last but not least, something, it's not the last thing, but when it comes to the live updates of the documentation that are already there and are matched, there's a huge rework done by Thomas around list of hooks. I don't have the old version to show you, but believe me, the new version is much, much better when it comes to the better visibility of the hooks, when it comes to the search, when it comes to understanding how the hooks works. So this is the new page of list. This is the new page listing all the hooks that are available in PrestaShop. And if you have seen, if you saw this page before, you will notice a few changes. First of all, now we have the name, we have the location, and we have the has example indicator. We decided that it would be cool to document usage of hooks, because one thing is to know about the hook, the other is to know how it works and how to implement your behavior using this hook. So we decided to basically improve the list of hooks, adding a few indicators. First of all, where the hooks are located. Secondly, if they have an example or not. So if you take a look at some of the hooks, for example, action validate order, we see that the hook is located in the front office and it has an example. Let's click. It's a separate page, and we can see there all the details about the hook. For example, hook type. Hook type is obviously an action type because it's an action hook. We have aliases, we have location of the file, in the file, sorry. So which file is basically triggering this hook. We have parameters details. We have an example call of the hook in the origin file. Plus, this is a new thing in the documentation. We do have an example implementation. This was added by Plulu, one of our maintainers of the project. And here you can see basically how you can use this hook to perform some actions that you may want to perform while you basically creating your own module using this hook. I do believe it's a great addition to the documentation, but let's go back to the list of hooks. And let's unfilter search hooks. And we can go to another one. All right. And this hook is documented a bit differently, simply because it would be hard to document every single hook by providing a dedicated example. So we thought that it would be great to document them also in some other way. If we have an example module or native module that is already implementing the hook, we decided to basically create a link between documentation and the module. So if we have action grid definition modifier hook, there's a link to a few example modules that already implements those hooks. So if we search for action grid modifier, we can see example implementation of this hook. Obviously, this is the hook with the dynamic name. So after hook action, we need to provide a grid name and then grid definition modifier, as it's indicated in the name of the page. But still, I do believe it's a great addition to the documentation. It should help, especially new developers, to basically have a better understanding how the hooks works in real life examples. And this is also our goal, to provide as many real life examples as possible. This is also why we have this example modules repository, where you can basically find a lot of example modules that use modern architecture introduced in PrestaShop, that use Symfony, and that use Grid and other components that were added to PrestaShop 1.7 and V8. All right, and the last thing about the documentation, we know that it's very much required to update the documentation around upgrades in PrestaShop Core, and Thomas is working on this right now. So the new documentation for auto upgrade module and upgrade of the core in general should be live, I think, in March. I think you can expect the refreshed upgrade guide in March. Maybe I will see if there are any questions. We have a lot of people today. It's very nice. Okay, I see a few questions about Symfony and the version of Symfony in PrestaShop. And as Fabian already answered, there's a plan to introduce Symfony 5.4, which is also LTS version in PrestaShop 9. I believe switching directly to PrestaShop 6 would be quite challenging, especially that our ecosystem used to be a bit behind when it comes to the technology and when it comes to the PHP version and so on and so forth. We are trying to be much more up to date when it comes to the Symfony PHP version support and so on and so forth. But it's not only a developer's decision; it's also such a huge change, like changing from Symfony 4.4 to, for example, 6.4, which has not been released yet, would be also a business decision. And for sure, we can expect 5.4, and probably 6 would be introduced in version 10 of PrestaShop. All right, so this is it when it comes to the PrestaShop developer documentation. If you haven't seen a documentation for a while, it's good to take a look. There are a lot of changes, and if you have any suggestions, if you think something is missing in the documentation, simply let us know on Slack, on issues, on GitHub issues, maybe there during live update. If you have any questions regarding the developer documentation, let me know, and I will try to get back to you with the answer. And now I think we can go to the next demo, next live demo of the day. I feel that I'm starting losing my voice a bit. I hope I will I will manage to deliver the rest of the demos. All right. So the next demo will be about PrestaShop 8.1. I have a few notes there. Oh, one more thing. When it comes to the documentation, I forgot to mention one other important aspect of the documentation. Obviously, we are trying our best to provide you with the fresh information about new features that are coming to PrestaShop. So I forgot to mention you that we do have a documentation for the new password policy that was introduced in PrestaShop 8. This was also created by Thomas. So thank you, Thomas, for your work. Here's a detailed explanation how the new password policy works, how to implement it to your front office. And basically, this will be the standard approach from the team, from the project members in the future for the future releases as well. If there's something new important for the project, if there's something new for developers, we are going to get this documented. And now we can focus on PrestaShop 8.1. As you can see, I'm running PrestaShop 8.1. This is the beta version. I'm running on PHP version 8.1. And I would like to show you a few new features that you maybe saw already during some other live updates, but I think it's interesting for the community to see what's going on in the PrestaShop project, and not everybody have seen previous demos already. So let's try to go over some new features that will be available in PrestaShop 8.1, starting with new image formats generation. And what is this about? Is this feature is about adding a full support of WebP, AVIF to your PrestaShop installation. So this feature is now available behind the feature flag. And to enable anything experimental, any new features that are behind feature flags, we need to go to Advanced Parameters, New and Experimental Features. There's a lot of features that are considered experimental. I believe eventually we will move multiple image formats to the new features section, because it's being considered as stable enough for users, for most of users to use. So right now I will show you how the image settings page looks. So we have basically the all settings for the format. We could support WebP, but eventually, even if I enable this option and go to the front office, this image will still have JPEG extension, and Even though it is a real WebP file, it's being recognized as a JPEG file. It's with a JPEG extension and it's confusing people. So there's a full support for WebP and AVIF coming to PrestaShop 8.1. I will enable this feature right now. I will save the options. Thank you, Daniel, for confirmation. Yeah, so this feature will be moved to the new features section as it's stable enough for most of users to use. It requires some adjustment in front office theme, but you can start with Daniel's implementation from the classic and implement WebP and other formats in your theme. So I enabled this feature flag. Now I'm going back to the image settings page. I will refresh it. And now, as you noticed, there's a new option. You can basically select which extra formats you would like to generate for your images. Let's start with WebP. I think maybe it's a bit too soon to support to have AVIF generated, but I may be wrong. I don't know the usage right now. Probably Daniel will have some data about it. Let's stick to the WebP for now, and let's save the option. And now, just to show you, I will open my developer tools. I'm pretty sure it will be hard for you to notice, but this is JPEG. You got to believe me. I don't know how to change the font size of the DevTools. Probably there's an option for that. All right, I found it. Okay, so this is JPEG. This is JPEG now. And we enabled WebP in back office. Let's regenerate the images. We want to erase previous images. And now let's hope to not have any demo effect. All right, thumbnails were generated. Now let's refresh the page. And we have still JPEG. And I think I know why. Let's try to clear the cache. Let's refresh the page once again. Oh, and we do have WebP available. I didn't notice it, but it's done by the book. So we do have a picture tag with the source set, plus we do have image tag as a fallback for those browsers that are not supporting WebP at the moment. I don't think if there are any modern web browsers that are not supporting WebP, but there you go. There we have. WebP images are now fully compatible with PrestaShop. And what is important, JPEGs are generated always. There's always a JPEG version of the image, and I'm mentioning it simply because it's very important for some third-party integrations, third-party modules, scripts, to have those JPEG files available. Imagine that you are integrated with some ERP software, and there's a mechanism to download your images to this external service. I'm pretty sure they are not supporting WebP at the moment, so it's important to keep the JPEGs enabled. I believe there are some plans to allow users to stop generating JPEGs on demand, but to just, for example, to save the disk space. But it is important to know that it might have some consequences if you are integrated with external providers, external services like marketplaces and so on and so forth. And just to show you a bit of advantages of WebP, I will show you. Sorry, my mouse doesn't work right now. I don't know what's going on. All right, a little luck. Wait a second. A little technical issues. minute. I have to see what is wrong because there's clearly something wrong with my computer right now. All right, I will close the developer tools. All right, we are ready to continue. All right, yeah, okay. So this is a bit tiny image, but I hope you see the difference between the WebP version and the JPEG version of the file. If we have the image settings with the default values, so JPEG compression is set to 90, WebP compression is set to 80. There's a huge difference when it comes to the file size. As you can see, we have lighted in JPEG as 45 kilobytes, and WebP version is 4th time smaller than the JPEG version. So it's a huge advantage when it comes to the disk space, when it comes to the performance. So it's a fantastic feature coming to PrestaShop 8.1. If you want to test it, just download the beta and you are ready to go. A beta is available right now to download, and you can use the default classic theme to see how it works and how to implement WebP if you want to use 8.1 with your custom theme. So let's continue with some other exciting features that are coming to 8.1. For those who don't know, who haven't heard already, there's a new version of faceted search module. Daniel showed it last month, but for those who weren't there before last month, I would like to show you that now, if we go to the categories page, we do have filters. And as you know, if normally we went to prices drops, there would be no filters at all. But today, with the new version of faceted search module, there are filters available. So I know it's been shown already to you last month, but I'm still very excited about having this feature available. So thank you, Daniel, once again for bringing it to the community. So if I filter now to see, for example, short sleeve t-shirts, I do have short sleeves t-shirt, and its prices drop. It's not the category, its prices drop. The same goes if I want, for example, to filter search results. There's a tiny issue with the display of the products right now. It's related to how columns are displayed with Bootstrap Grid, but it's work in progress right now. But still, you can filter search results. So it should drastically improve your customer experience in your store. It's a hugely anticipated feature, and it's available with the newest version of PrestaShop Faceted Search module. Once again, thank you to Daniel for bringing this feature to PrestaShop. And now let's focus on a few more features that are coming to PrestaShop 8.1. Starting with one small but very, very useful addition to the maintenance mode. So if we go to Shop Parameters, General, there's a Maintenance tab. And now we have our store enabled, as you can see, because we were there. And now let's disable our store. Let's save the settings. And if I see the page right now, the front office, I see that we will be back soon. Okay, so normally if I would like to see the front office again, I would have to add my IP, save the settings, go to the front office, and there it is. And the same goes for every single employee in your store. And starting from 8.1, there's a new option available. So if I remove the maintenance IP, I'll show you once again that I don't have access to the store. There's a new option available called Enable Store for Logged In Employees. So if I switch this to the yes, and if I save the option, I have access to the store. So to sum up, if you have a lot of employees that use, for example, dynamic IPs, you can simply switch this switch box, switch this radio button, and enable store even if it's in the maintenance mode for all logged in employees in your PrestaShop installation. So as you can see, I have an access now. If I switch this option to off, I don't have access anymore. And I can obviously show you that if I switch the option to yes and I refresh the page, and if I sign out from the store, I won't have access to the store anymore. So it works. And thank you to one of our community contributors. I don't know his name, and it's hard to pronounce his nickname, but it's a very popular author from the Advanced Marketplace. So kudos to him for bringing this quite a nice improvement to the core. I'm sure it will be very good improvements for bigger stores or for those who use dynamic IPs in their offices. And if we are in the settings area of PrestaShop 8.1, there's one more good addition when it comes to enable things from back office. If I go to advanced parameters performance, I can not only enable debug mode now, I can also enable profiler. So some of you maybe didn't know that there's such a thing as a profiler in PrestaShop, which shows you basically how fast is your store, how it performs. So let's see what it does. I have an access to the store. I don't see any profiler as of yet. I will enable debug profiler in back office. I will save the option. I will refresh the page. And now I can see how fast my PrestaShop is. There you go. Profiler enabled directly from back office. No more need to modify the files on the server. You can enable both the developer mode and the profiler directly from back office. And here's one a side note. I know, thanks to the Friends of Presta community, that leaving enabled developer mode, and it will probably goes for the profiler as well, is a real issue in our ecosystem. So we are thinking of adding the similar feature that has been added to the maintenance mode to add one more switch there that could allow enable mode and maintenance mode to be available only for logged in employees. I think it's simple to implement, but quite a nice improvement that we could probably bring to PrestaShop 9 or PrestaShop 8.1 as a patch. I don't know, something to discuss for sure. But for sure, there's a room for an improvement when it comes to accessing developer mode and profiler, because I know this is a real issue that people are forgetting that they enabled developer mode, and they just don't see it because there are no errors anywhere. And there are some links that are still in not friendly URL style, which basically produces a huge white page showing that there's a redirection to the new page, or some notices that are later indexed by Googlebot or some other search bot. So it's a real issue, I know, and we will try to improve it in the future. I do believe the same switch that is available for maintenance mode should be enough for this purpose. But if you have any other ideas, just let us know. All right, so the last thing that I would like to show you is related to the product page. If you haven't seen it already, there's a new product page, maybe not full product page, but a very detailed presentation of a few new features that are coming to the new product page. It was being showed by Jonathan and Mateus last month during live update. So if you haven't seen it already, make sure to see it, because it's a great demo of how amazing page is, how smooth it is, and how many new features are available both for merchants and for developers. So if you haven't seen it already, make sure to do it, but after this live update. And I will show you one more thing that was being already showed during some of the recent live updates, but I still do believe that it's a great addition to the software. From PrestaShop 8.1, you can manage combinations and basically product availability in much more details than it was before. So if you want to, for example, let's assume that this product is no longer available. Normally you would do this like this. You would disable the module, you would click save, and now if we go to this product, because we are employees and admins, we have access to it, but if we remove this query string, we no longer have access to it. We are being redirected to the main category of the product. But what if you have to do more with your products that are no longer available? What if you want to show the real alternatives for the customer, for your maybe future client? What you could do? Before, you couldn't do anything, basically. But thanks to Daniel and thanks to work of some other community members, now if we go to the SEO page of the new product page, we have much more options there. As you can see now, there's a permanent redirection to a category right now. But if I switch this option to no redirection, status code will be 200. So, okay, status code, okay. We will display the product. And now, if I see this product again, and I will remove this query string because it is not needed. Oh, sorry, I know what happened. We can try it on some different product because my browser is basically cached the redirection. So let's go to the other product. We will disable it. We will save the option. We will go to SEO and we will change this behavior to no redirection. I will save the option. Now let's go to the product. Let's remove this query string. And there we go, no redirection and accurate information that this product is no longer for sale. This is just a default behavior. This is just a behavior that shows to the customer, to your visitors, that this product is no longer for sale. But imagine other solutions that you could basically bring to this product page. You could, as a module developer, create a solution that basically adds a new field to the product page, where you could show, I don't know, maybe alternative products to this one. This is no longer available, but hey, this product is no longer for sale. Maybe you will be interested in buying this and that product. So this wasn't possible before. It is now, thanks to the work from Daniel and much more options when it comes to the behavior when the product is offline. I do believe that we should change the label there. It shouldn't be called redirection when offline. It should be just how the product page behave when it is no longer available as an active product. So you can treat it as a suggestion, Mateusz. And there are also some other options. For example, we can do no redirection, but we can return 404 status code like this. Or we can just return, if we are, for example, if we are sure that this product is not coming back to our inventory, this is some product that will no longer be available for sale, there is no alternative, and so on. We could do something better for our SEO, and thanks to the modification from Jeff from Friends of Presta community, we can now set the status code to 410, which is basically status gone, and it works in a way where when the search bot is seeing the 410 status code, it basically treats this page as do not index it anymore. So if you want to make your search index lighter, if you don't want to bring search bots to the pages that are no longer relevant for your SEO, you could just return 410 status code, page gone, and right now the product will be still displayed, but with the status code saying 410. 410 gone. And last but not least, you probably know, if you work with PrestaShop, you probably know that it is possible to set the labels for availability. So if the product is no longer available or will be available later, you could simply say that, hey, this product will be available on, I don't know, April 1st. But that was not the case for combinations. And it is now starting from PrestaShop 8.1. If you want to modify those labels, you can simply edit combination, and you can edit availability of the and labels related to product availability for each combination separately. It's also a feature created by Daniel. So Daniel, thank you again. I'm looking forward to seeing more improvements like this, because this shows that we care about merchants' needs. It was a real issue for merchants to not be able to basically manage availability of the products better. Thanks to Jeff, thanks to Daniel, thanks to Mateusz and everyone else involved, it is now much better to treat your stock more accurately when it comes to the products that are no longer available for sale or will be available later. So I'm not going to show you all the details when it comes to the product page. I highly encourage you to watch the previous demo where Mateusz and Jonathan did a great job overviewing the product page with multi-store enabled. So it's a must-see demo. If you haven't seen any demos before, and if you want to see some most interesting demos during these live updates, it's definitely the previous event. That was easily the best event that we ever held. So that's basically it from me today. I hope I managed to show you some interesting things today without any special guests, unfortunately. I will do my best to bring you some exciting new projects and new guests next month, so we can show you something even more interesting. And now, if you have any questions, it's time for Q&A. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's a question from Machine06. Can we generate the images by Ajax? It is not possible right now. I know it's a real issue if you have a bigger store and you have bigger images, but there are some scripts available on GitHub that basically provides you with a tiny script that you can use from your command line interface. So you just run it on your server, and as command line interface scripts have no limits when it comes to the timeouts and memory, it would be a good alternative to buying a module from whatever marketplace, you know. So if you want to regenerate images without having to worry about timeouts, it's good to search for this script. I believe it was called CLR regenerate images or something like that. If you Google it, I'm sure you will find it. And from what I know, there are no plans to implement Ajax regeneration to the core. Right. Thanks for your comment, Valerie. Yeah. I think you mentioned maintenance mode, and yeah, I do believe it's a great feature. Okay, Mao3 developer for large images like the ones on the product page. Is there the use of source set? I believe so. Let's see. Let's see. It's question to Daniel, but I believe that's the case. There's a WebP and there's a source set. The picture tags basically were implemented everywhere around the products. They were not implemented to the slider, and they were probably not implemented to the manufacturers. And there's also another question. Default image sizes can be changed to bigger. My shop has a default, but the image seems blurred. There are two issues basically. It's not only about the size of images, it's also about how good the original image is, and the fact that we are still using GD library, whereas Imagic is probably much better when it comes to regenerating images with real, proper, accurate quality of them. So this may be something to consider when it comes to PrestaShop 10 or 9 to have an alternative to GD library. Because I remember some issues with GD library, and there were some artifacts when you wanted to generate images in high quality. I don't know the current state of GD, but I heard that Imagic is much better when it comes to the quality of images. And if we are talking about source set and using multiple image sizes, as Daniel noticed, it's available in Hummingbird, but it can also be used in any custom theme, because it's a matter of configuration of the image types in the image settings. So you would need to generate much more images, or simply do I don't know, small default and home default should be twice the size of the small one, maybe like this. And you could use source set with the sizes the same as it is in the Hummingbird theme. Because let's be honest, the fact that Hummingbird is not being released yet and will be probably released for PrestaShop 9, it doesn't mean that you cannot use features that are already there and implemented to Hummingbird. You can use some of the features that are already there and already implemented in Hummingbird. It will take some time for you to implement them to Classic or to your custom theme, but it is possible, it is doable. All right. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions? Maybe I missed some. Thank you, Fabian, for answering when it comes to the Symfony version. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you find the overview of PrestaShop 8.1 useful. Like I said, all right. One more question from Frank. No news about the roadmap for V9. There are some plans, but I would like to not mention anything unless it's set in stone. Plus, let's remember that even though something is on the roadmap, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be delivered in the version. Simply because unless you start something and unless you start doing something, you are not sure whether it is doable in this period of time or not. There are some issues in the middle. But I know the product team from PrestaShop is working hard and discussing with community, with merchants, and so on and so forth to deliver the best possible version 9 possible. Face gifts. I don't know. There are some plans. I'm sure the moment we will have the roadmap, the roadmap will be presented during the live updates. I'm sure of that. So, all right. Once again, thank you for joining live updates. One more thing that I would like to show you is that we can not only discuss there, we can not only exchange during live updates. There are also some other initiatives. One of them is GitHub discussions, where you can basically share your ideas, maybe kind words, maybe you have some questions, or maybe you have something to show. I don't see anything in this section, but if you are a module developer, if you are creating some solutions that are open to the community and you would like to showcase your products, your solutions with the community, this is the good place to share those things. And the same goes for ideas. If you have any ideas, make sure to share them there. But with one disclaimer, we treat GitHub discussions as a community tool. So we are not guaranteeing that anybody from the team will come to you, help you, or answer you. We treat it as a modern forum, modern community tool to discuss. But obviously, a lot of project members chime in, discuss with you. If there are any interesting ideas, you can be sure that at some point, maybe with planning of V9, maybe with planning of V10, there will be someone from the product team going through top ideas, noting them, and writing them down somewhere on the roadmap. So if you have any ideas, if you want to have something interesting being added to PrestaShop, make sure to document your idea to GitHub discussions. It's a great place to start. And when it comes to other initiatives, almost every Tuesday, because there are some holidays and so on, almost every Tuesday we meet during office hours. More news about office hours you can find on BuildBlock. I will share you the link right now. Basically, this is the meeting that is open to the community. So you can join the meeting, you can discuss with other project members. It's not always me, it's not always a full house of project members available for you to discuss. But if you have any ideas for pull requests that you would like to make, or you have some problems with your PrestaShop project that you would like to discuss, or you just have some questions about PrestaShop project in general, you can join our meeting. It's open. We are discussing some things there. You can be part of those discussions, or you can just join and listen to those discussions. So that's it for today. I survived with my voice today, so that's good. I hope you enjoyed seeing some changes in PrestaShop project in 8.1 in the developer documentation. So if you have any questions that you couldn't ask there on chat, make sure to contact me on Slack, or simply put your questions using GitHub discussions or join office hours or any other social activities that we are trying to create for the community. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you in April. Bye everyone.